Hi guys, patch 16.6 is live, which means that it's time to talk about the top 5 comps of the patch. It's a really large patch with lots of unlock changes, lots of balancing changes, and I think the meta is going to shift pretty drastically from a 4-cost meta to either a reroll on 7 meta or a fast 9 meta. There is still going to be some 4 costs that are viable, but yeah, I think the default way to play this new patch is going to be level 9 or level 7. And so let's go over some of the new comps that I'll recommend for you guys to play on the new patch. So first off, we have Mel Sylas. Mel's unlock condition has changed from sacrificing a 2-star Ambessa with one item to sacrificing a 1-star Ambessa with one item. So she's much easier to get. You can get her much more early on, and you're much more likely to print the Radiant item because if you get a 4-1 or a 4-2 Mel, you'll usually print the Radiant item by around sometime during stage 6, depending on your items and depending on how the fights go. So yeah, this has become a really popular comp that a lot of people have playing. The most common opener for this comp is going to be playing through Scion. So you have the Scion, you're going to slam in like an AP item on him or something. You're going to unlock LeBlanc. And you're going to play some sort of 3 Noxus plus like Bruiser opener, and then you can scale into like a 5 Noxus mid game. And yeah, you can probably roll a little bit on level 8 for maybe like one Ambessa, use the Ambessa to unlock Mel. And overall, this is going to be kind of like a fast 9 comp. You're going to want to make it to level 9 and cap around 2-star Mel and 2-star Sylas, whose unlock condition has also been made easier. You only have to steal a 2-star Garen and be level 9 now for that. So yeah, in terms of the board, there is a little bit of variation. If you hit an early Azir, you can totally ditch like Seraphine, Vi, and Ambessa, and you can play Azir plus a Shuriman plus Darius. Vanquisher is not really important here. And Piltover, I would recommend Blast Shields or Cogs for Piltover. But yeah, if you can get Azir plus a Shuriman, then that's probably going to be a bit better than this Piltover. But if you don't get early Azir, it's totally fine to just play these two Piltovers. And for the itemization, I think, yeah, Morello and Voidstaff can totally go on Mel or Sylas if you don't have enough items, but you probably do want to eventually move it off to someone like Seraphine or Fiddle in the late game. And for your tank, you can, yeah, this Skarner slot can also be Taric, depending on if the lobby is AP or AD. And you can either look to tank Swain 2, Skarner 2, Taric 2, one of those units. So this is going to be a comp that caps really high, especially if you print the Radiant item with Mel. If you make it to Mel 2, Sylas 2, you're going to be extremely likely to win the game. And very strong and much more accessible on the new patch than it was on previous patches. So yeah, I've been playing tons of PB, and I'm seeing often 2 people playing this in a lobby. Next up, I'm going to be talking about Ahri reroll. They have significantly buffed Ahri 3 on the new patch, as well as also buffing the Transcendence Ionia. So in terms of the best Ionias, I would recommend, I think Transcendence is the best, and I think Path of Blades is the second best, and I think Path of Spirits is the third best. And I would be totally willing to play this comp with any of those 3. You might notice this is a level 8 board. On level 7, it might look a bit weird. You could just play 6 Ionia, or you could drop like Set and Shen for Kobuko. And you're going to look to play this comp, yeah, first of all, when it's one of those 3 Ionias I mentioned. And second of all, when you have like an early Ahri Orb, or you can also play this comp from full open. So you can open, roll for Bard on 2-3. Bard has been easier to unlock now. And then you can wait until like 3-5 and roll on 3-5 for like Ahri 2 and Yasuo 2, use that to unlock Yone. So you can totally play this comp from full open or from an Ahri Orb would be the spots that I would be looking to play this from. In terms of the items, yeah, Yone to duo carry is going to be really good. He wants pretty specific items like BT Titan's Rageblade. And Ahri kind of wants like double mana item plus JG. It doesn't have to be Shojin Nashor's blue buff would be fine, double Nashor's would be fine, but she usually wants double mana plus JG. But BIS is not completely important. Probably just try to make sure you have some sort of like Sunfire and Spark. Um, yeah, like Sunfire Wukong. And yeah, Kennen 3 is also really good. Kennen 3 is probably better than Wukong 2, but it's not necessary. If you just have to hit the RE3 and push levels, then I would probably rather do that than stay level 7 for Kennen 3. So yeah, this comp also caps very high, especially Transcendence Ionia. Your RE is going to be dropping a nuke every fight once she's 3-starred. You can totally feel free to take a lot of econ augments in this comp. I should have probably mentioned that for Mel as well. It's totally fine to take a lot of econ augments. And yeah, if you hit this board, I think you'll be having a lot of success. And I've been really enjoying Ahri reroll on the new patch. So the next comp I'll talk about is another 3-cost reroll comp, which is going to be Malzahar plus Targon's reroll. You're also the main goal of this comp is going to be to 3-star Leona, 3-star Malzahar, and 3-star Zoe, and you're going to carry like those 3 with items. Keep in mind you don't need to build any burn or shred for this comp because you're playing Leona, who burns, and Zoe, who shreds. So that's pretty nice. You can just build a bunch of damage and tank items. I would say Leona items is quite important in this comp. This comp is kind of about having an immortal Leona, so she really wants like Stoneplate Visage, and you really want some sort of healing on your Malzahar, whether that's Gunblade or the Leeching Nucleus. If you have Leeching Nucleus, you don't need to build Gunblade. Otherwise, you should be looking to build Gunblade, and try to make your Leona stay alive as long as possible. In terms of spots that I would look to play this comp, it's kind of similar to Ahri reroll. It could be off of an early orb, early Leona orb, Zoe orb, playing through that, or also just full open with rolling for Bard and then 3-5ing it for this board. Could be another good spot to play this comp from. So yeah, again, it's a pretty expensive board. 3-cost reroll usually needs at least one econ augment. Stuff that lets you guarantee good items is also pretty nice in this comp, like a Pandora's Bench or a min-max or anything like that that can kind of help you guarantee the important Leona items, because Stoneblade is very important for Leona, and yeah, Gunblade and getting like JG Nasher or JG plus Chojin or something is pretty important for Malzahar. Zoe items are also similar to Malzahar items. You can just do any leftover mana plus damage AP items are going to perform really well. I would say this comp is a bit lower cap. It doesn't really win very often, but it is going to top 4 very consistently if you're able to hit your board, even if you do have like 1 or 2 econ augments. So yeah, I think this comp is pretty strong on the new patch. They buffed Leona 3 a lot, they buffed Zoe 3 a lot, and Malzahar 3 was already pretty good. And going into the 4th comp I'm going to talk about, I'm going to be talking about Demacia Ryze with Sylas. This is another kind of Fast 9 comp. And one thing that's really nice about this comp is that, so I like to play this comp from Demacia opener with Orianna and Vi. So if you have like 3 Demacia plus Vi, then you can unlock the Orianna, and you'll get like 2 Invoker, 2 Piltover, 3 Demacia, 2 Defender. It's a really strong opener, especially if you hit Cogs on your Piltover. And if you're high rolling really hard, then you can Fast 9 into this kind of board with Ryze and Sylas duo carry. And if you're not high rolling as hard, you can totally just roll on level 8 and play Demacia the old way with Lux and Garen, and you'll still be able to top 4. So this comp does have some sort of low roll protection that you can play something else if you're not rich enough or high roll enough spot to play for this comp. But this board is going to cap really high on Sylas 2 and Ryze 2. It's totally fine to put like utility items on Ryze. He spreads it really well with the Ionia buff. Sylas is kind of like the true carry of this comp. I really like Edge of Night on Sylas because when he Jarvan ults, he jumps into the enemy team, and if you don't have an Edge of Night, a lot of the time he just gets blown up. So I do really value Edge of Night Sylas really highly. Galio with Cloak items can also do a surprising amount of damage, especially on 2-star. Declaw Galio, Adaptive Galio can actually do some pretty crazy damage in some fights, so that's definitely something to keep in mind. And the Ionia buff matters a little bit, but I wouldn't say it matters too much. Probably something like Blade Master might even be the best because your Ryze gets the Ionia buff, and then with the Shojin, he's going to be going kind of crazy. But I don't think it matters too much. Probably the most important thing would just be having a lot of money on level 9 because, yeah, this is a really, really expensive board. You need like two 2-star 7 costs, and you're playing an extra unit because you need to buy a Galio 2 on your bench, which is going to be an extra 15 gold investment. And yeah, again, this board has some flexibility. The Lucian slot and Taric slot can be pretty flexible. I've tanked like Braum 2 in this comp with since he plays in, who's a Warden. You could fit Ornn totally. You could fit Fiddle. You could fit Skarner maybe even. So yeah, there are some flex slots on this board, and it's a really strong comp on the new patch because they made Galio much easier to unlock. Finally, the last comp that I'm going to recommend on this patch is going to be this Freljord, Jinx, and Warwick board. I haven't actually played this board too much, even though I've been playing a lot of PB, but I did notice that this board is performing extremely well in the statistics. And thinking about it, it makes a lot of sense because they significantly nerfed 5 Zon by bug fixing the fact that it was giving way too much attack speed. So now 5 Zon is a much worse trait than it was before, and you're much more inclined to play only 3 Zon and then get a bunch of other good traits. And yeah, Jinx 3 and stuff like that has gotten some buffs on this patch. So spots that I would recommend, like if you have Jinx, really good Jinx items, then you play this as like a level 7 reroll. And you can go for Sedge 3 as well. And Sedge 3 can be your main tank. And Warwick can just be kind of a duo carry, but not as important in this comp. I think you guys are going to be really surprised by how much damage Jinx can do on this patch 3-star. It's actually really crazy. And yeah, she can do really well. Some other things that I could recommend for this comp is I think Comeback Story could be pretty good for forcing it because Jinx and Warwick really love the attack speed. But otherwise, spots that I would look to play this comp is probably just like early Jinx Orb, or just like you really need a bow at the start of the game because yeah, this comp needs a lot of bows. You need Rageblade, Kraken, Last Whisper, Titans. That's 4 bows. So yeah, I haven't personally played this comp too much, but I have noticed that it's really strong in the stats, and I've played some fives on Jinx reroll, and I actually think that this should be even better than that, just because of, again, as I said, those fives on being a little bit nerfed, and um, them giving the power back to the units themselves, like Jinx and stuff. So yeah, I would recommend this comp on the new patch. If you have the Jinx items, then you can play it as a level 7 reroll. If you don't have great Jinx items, you could maybe even just play this as like a level 8 comp with like a Warwick 2-star and then Jinx and ideally Senna, but MF could work too, like MF or Senna in this final slot. This was a board that people were playing all the way back on PB, and I think it should be making maybe a little bit of a resurgence this patch, although only time will tell. So overall thoughts on the patch, kind of like a level 7 3-cost reroll or Fast 9 meta. Some 4 costs should be viable. Demacia is good. Kaisa should be okay. Maybe you can get away with playing Shadow Isles and Bilge sometimes. But yeah, default is probably going to be level 7 rerolling for 3 costs and going Fast 9 for 5 costs. And yeah, should be a fun patch. Should be an interesting patch. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. And thank you guys. Peace.